So that's City 5.
City 5?
Because there's 10. Holy shit.
Difference already?
Yeah.
What's going on, guys, and welcome to Yoda Expedition. We're currently in Andrew's 3rd gen Tundra, and we just installed a Banks iDash and a Banks pedal monster. This is going to make a huge difference on your throttle response, and the ability that the iDash has is endless. We're going to go over this a little bit, and then we're going to get the reaction from Andrew inside his Tundra. So let's go ahead inside and show you how to get this thing installed. All right, guys, before Corey gets into the install, let's talk about real quick why you'd want to go with the Banks pedal monster versus all the other competitors out on the market, because there are a lot of them out there. So for me, the two standout things is the pedal monster is safe and smart. What do I mean by that? The pedal monster is a lot safer because it has certain things built into it and certain circuitry that are fail safes, so that if anything goes wrong with voltage, it will kill the pedal monster, but you will still have an active throttle pedal. This is because other competitors draw their power directly from the throttle pedal circuit, which can cause over amperage and actually kill the entire circuit, leaving you with a dead throttle pedal. The pedal monster is different because it draws 12-volt power directly from your OBD2 port. This is where the smart component comes in. Because you're drawing power from the OBD2 port, you can also draw data from there. The pedal monster draws all the vehicle's data that's available through most of your scan tools, so that makes this device very smart. Because it's so smart, it doesn't allow you to change driving modes while you're on the throttle, and will actually give you a nice little warning telling you to release the throttle before you can make the change. Also, the pedal monster has features that other throttle controllers don't, like it is reverse smart. What I mean is, when you put the truck in reverse, the pedal monster will know this and it won't make the throttle more sensitive when you're in reverse. That way, if you're backing out of a spot or trying to hook up a trailer, you don't have a very sensitive throttle. Since you have all that OBD2 data, Banks also sells a bunch of additional stuff, such as this iDash gauge. This is gonna give you so many features that I can't list them all here, but we are gonna make another video on that later. Some of them real quick. It does allow you to view most of the parameters that you could view on a scan tool, such as your RPM, coolant temp, things like that. It also is going to display and control your pedal monster if you have that connected to it as well. The iDash Super Gauge will also act as an OBD2 scanner and allow you to do things like reset the engine light and scan for trouble codes. If I haven't convinced you to go with the Banks pedal monster yet, let me just point out that it is actually cheaper than its main competitors, coming in at just $295. All right, now we're gonna cut back to Corey. He's gonna show you how to get this installed. All right, so right here on the table, we have everything we need to get this job done. We have the Banks pedal monster and we have the Banks iDash gauge for the 3rd gen Tundra, and we also have the mount to get this gauge mounted right on the driver's side grab handle. And then the only tools we're pretty much gonna need for this install is a trim prying tool and a 10mm socket and ratchet. So let's go ahead and get this stuff open. We'll show you what's included and then we'll get it installed. So right here we have the Banks pedal monster itself. This is simply going to plug into the throttle pedal on your Tundra, and then you have some connectors here that we're going to be plugging this into, and then that's going to be running to your OBD2 port underneath the dash. So we got that stuff open there. Nice little reminder from Banks: if you ever have to take your truck into the dealership for whatever reason, make sure to unplug this so they don't have anything to say about it. If you need to take this into the dealer, you can just simply unplug it and they'll have no idea that this was ever plugged into your Tundra. Next up, we have the Banks iDash right here. Let's go ahead and pull this out and all of the wiring that's going to be going with that. So we have our pedal monster and the cable that's going to be running to our OBD2. We have our iDash here, and then the cable that's going to be running from that to our pedal monster. And lastly, we have the mount that's going to be going on the grab handle. And then you'll also get an Allen wrench to install it with the bolt, and then a step bit. We're going to have to do some drilling on the A-pillar plastic so that we can get these wires fed through to our iDash. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown of how all this stuff's going to be plugged into each other, and then we can hop into the Tundra and start pulling it apart. So once we get into the Tundra, the first thing we're going to be doing is starting with the OBD2 plug. We're going to be plugging this into there and then running this up to our A-pillar where the iDash is going to be going. That is going to be plugging into the 4-pin location on the back of the iDash, and then there is also a 6-pin location on the back of the iDash. We're going to be plugging in the second harness into there, running it back down the same path that this wire was going, and that is going to be plugging into our pedal monster. And then lastly, the pedal monster is going to be plugging into our throttle pedal. That's going to complete the whole connection for this system. And let's go ahead and start installing it. First thing that we're going to do is disconnect the battery. We are going to be messing with the A-pillar here. There is a airbag in there, so just in case, we're going to disconnect the battery. So we have our trim prying tool and we have our ratchet and 10mm socket. First thing we're gonna do is get this grab handle off. So there's gonna be two covers that house the 10mm bolts, one right here, also one right here. Just take note, if you are gonna be using a flathead screwdriver to pop these off, you might make a mark on this, so just be very careful. Now we're gonna take our ratchet and socket and we're gonna get these taken out. So once those two bolts are out, you can remove the whole handle. We are going to remove the floor mat just to get out of our way. So go ahead and do that. Right here on the side of the dashboard, you have an access panel. We're gonna have to take that out. So with your trim prying tool, we'll go ahead in there and pop this out. Next thing we're gonna do is remove this bottom panel here. So right next to your dead pedal, there is a plastic nut. We're gonna go ahead and remove that. And then there is a clip in here. We're just gonna pull that and pop it out. And we can take our trim prying tool, we'll put it in here and we'll get that clip popped out. Just like so. So with that popped out, the next thing we're gonna do is pull down this door seal. So all you have to do is pull it off where it clips on. And we're gonna pull it all the way up here so that we have access to remove our A-pillar plastics. With the door seal removed, we can take our fingers and put it in between the A-pillar plastic and our headliner here and just give this a little pull. It'll pop out. And then down at the very bottom, we'll just have to give it a little wiggle and twist it and it will pop out. So we have the A-pillar plastic here. I just wanted to mention you may have a speaker built into this. If so, make sure to look for that when removing and you'll have to unplug that speaker before pulling this out. So with everything removed from the Tundra that needs to come out, we are now ready to drill the hole. So I have the A-pillar plastic here along with the grab handle in place. This is the top of the A-pillar. This is down towards your windshield. We're gonna be drilling a hole in a very specific spot. So I'll show you where that's gonna be going. So before we go ahead and drill the hole, we will have to remove this little plastic cover. You can just pull it straight out and it'll just bend these little plastic ears back. And we can go ahead and get this back in place on the A-pillar and I can show you where we're gonna be drilling this hole. So again, this is the bottom here of the A-pillar down towards your windshield and we are gonna be drilling the hole right in this corner right here. Like I mentioned earlier, they provide a step bit to do this install. We are going to be going down to the 18mm mark, so if you want to put some tape on there, you can, just so it's easier to know when to stop. So we got our step bit on our drill. We're going to go ahead and start drilling this out. You want to do it on the A-pillar plastic because we have to drill through the handle and the A-pillar plastic. We're just going to go ahead and take our time. I just want to mention you do want to do this outside of the truck. You don't want to be drilling this in there, especially with the airbag being right where this is at. You could have a bad time. So I drilled it a little bit on the front side. Now I'm flipping it over and I'm going to drill it a little bit on the back side just to even the hole out because it is tapered right now. I want to mention with drilling this hole, our new Banks iDash is going to cover that up completely. And then if at any time you decide you want to take this out of your Tundra, the cover that we took out will also cover that hole so you won't see it. So with our hole drilled out, we can go ahead and start running our wiring. I have the OBD2 plug here. So we're going to run this up the A-pillar and then we'll get it fed through. So we'll start with the OBD2 plug. We'll get that plugged in right here. And then we can route this wire up and over the top of this plastic, and then we'll get it fed straight up to the A-pillar. All right, so we got that plugged in. We have it fed over the top. So we're gonna feed the wire through here. There's a small opening. We'll pull all of that out, and then we'll tuck it behind this plastic. Again, up here behind the plastic, and then we'll pull all of our extra up and out here. Once we get everything hooked up, we'll pull all of our slack back and then leave the excess here and we can just zip tie it up. So we have the OBD2 wire ran up to our A-pillar. Now we're going to get the other wire ran. This is going to go from the iDash to the pedal monster. So we got the wire ran from up here down to here that we're going to be going into the pedal monster. To make this a little bit easier when I go and hook everything up, I am going to remove this panel completely. So I'm just going to take the trim prying tool and the door sill here. I'm going to pop that up, and then once that's up, we can get this fully removed. You can see that there's just another clip on the bottom, so I just popped that out and got this fully removed. With all the wiring ran up to our A-pillar, we can start reassembly. We're going to get this back in place. We're going to get the wire ran through that hole that we drilled, and we'll get our bolts in for the grab handle, and then we'll get the iDash installed. So we'll take our wires and we'll feed them both through that hole that we drilled. Pull everything out so we don't get it tangled up in the process of trying to get this back in place. Now we'll have to tuck the very front in first. You can see right here on the bottom of the A-pillar there's this plastic piece that protrudes down, and there is a spot down next to the dashboard where this needs to go. So we want to make sure to get that in there. Once we get the bottom in, we can go ahead and just get this in place, and we'll get the handle up here, and we'll get our top bolt in to hold it. Get our wires fed through the handle. There we go, and we'll get this bolt started here. We'll just tighten it by hand for now. Next up, we have the housing for the iDash, and we're going to take our wires and feed it through there as well. And then we'll take the provided washer and screw, and we'll get that bolted in place. So we can go ahead and tighten this down, and we'll also get this tightened down, and then we'll pull all of our slack through so we have enough just to get our iDash plugged in. So now we'll take the iDash, we'll plug in our 4-pin. As you can see, we have a bunch of slack there, so we'll get all of that pulled out so we can get down to our other harness. Now we'll plug in the 6-pin harness here, and we'll pull everything nice and tight until the gauge is in the holder. So that's pretty good there. We'll go ahead and push our gauge in, get it nice and straight, make sure it's pushed all the way in. We can put this back in place, and we can go ahead and start putting all of these side pieces back together. So as you can see, we have some leftover wire. We'll get that tucked together and zip tied, and we'll put that back in here before we put the panel on. So the next step is going to be a little difficult to film. We have to unplug the plug on top of the throttle pedal. There's a shot here where I'm showing you where it is. Once we get that unplugged, we're going to be plugging this gray plug into the factory wiring, and then this black plug here is going to be plugging back into your throttle pedal. Then we have to route the pedal monster. We're probably going to tuck it down on the left side here behind that panel, and then we'll get that wire that's coming from our iDash plugged into here, and then we'll just get everything put back together, and we should be good to go. So reaching my hand up in there, trying to get it unplugged. So with that unplugged, we're now going to take the gray plug on the pedal monster, plug that into our factory plug, and then the black plug on the pedal monster, we'll plug that back into our throttle pedal. So we got that plugged into our throttle pedal. I went ahead and put it up and over the steering column shaft, and then tucked the wire behind the brake pedal, making sure that it's not going to be getting in the way of anything. And now I can take the pedal monster, and I'm going to be putting it over here on the side panel, right where our wires are coming down, so I can get that plugged in. We may have to access this later on when we go to do the phone app. There is a small button on this, and we might have to press that to pair it to our phone. So we want to leave this open, or at least easily accessible. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and get our door seal put back on. We're going to get this panel on the side of the dash, and we'll start to get everything set up on this. So now we have the 6-pin wire here coming from our iDash, and we are going to plug it into the pedal monster here. There's 2 locations. It does not matter which one we plug it into. So we'll go ahead and hook that up. We'll get this tucked on the side here somewhere, and we'll get our side panel put in place. So it's the next day, we got the Tundra outside, and we're gonna go ahead and get everything calibrated and working. If you have the iDash, you can just use this to get everything calibrated. If you don't have the iDash, then you wanna make sure that the pedal monster is easily accessible. There's a button on there. You're gonna have to have access to that, and you're also gonna have to download the Banks app on your phone, and that's how you're gonna operate or change the settings for your pedal monster. So let's go ahead, get the truck powered on, and we'll get the iDash calibrated with the pedal monster. Here is our main menu. Has a bunch of different details here reading off of the OBD2. We'll go ahead and hit this right arrow, opening up the menu, and then we're gonna scroll down to Banks modules. We'll hit the right arrow to go into there, and it can see we have the pedal monster plugged in. We'll hit the right arrow again, and now we need to scroll down to calibrate and hit the right arrow. It's gonna ask what you wanna do. I'm gonna hit yes. So we'll go ahead and depress the gas pedal and hit OK. And release and hit OK. Success. So now that we have it all calibrated, we can go ahead and get this set up so we can see what the pedal monster is doing. So again, hit the right arrow to bring up the menu. We'll go to gauge layout, which is the first one, and then scrolling all the way down, you can see we have pedal monster if you just want to display the pedal monster, or we can do a pedal monster combo. So we'll just go ahead and do that. Now on the left side, we have the pedal monster readout, and over here we have a couple of different gauges which you can switch and have it say whatever you want. And as you can see, we have the pedal monster still set to stock. So when I press the pedal, both what it is doing and the adjusted is exactly the same because we haven't made any adjustments yet. And then by just hitting the up arrow, you can see now we are at city +1, and then you continue to hit the up arrow. That's going to go all the way up, and then we can go into sport. Same deal. So let's see the difference now that we have it at sport +5. You can see what the pedal is actually doing and our new adjusted throttle response. All right, guys, so we got the iDash all set up and ready to go, and we showed you the basics of how to get it to work and set up with the pedal monster. In the near future, we're gonna do a video solely on the iDash and all the features that it has. In this one, we just wanted to show you how to get it installed, get the pedal monster installed, and how these both work together. So let's go ahead and get this thing working and show you some reactions of the pedal monster doing its thing. All right, so we got everything set up. We're ready to go ahead and try it out. This is Andrew's truck. He is gonna be the one giving the reaction because he knows how it feels every single day when he's driving it stock. So we're gonna go ahead and just drive it up and down the road stock, and then we'll probably do like city +5 and see how it feels. And then maybe we'll do like track +7 or whatever the highest one is, and just see how ridiculous it is.
So this is stock.
Everything's still set to stock. So the 2 bars there, the one on the left is your actual throttle response, and then the one on the right is your adjusted throttle response. So right now they're both exactly the same because it's stock.
So white is my throttle, red is adjusted.
Right.
So when you change the map.
Right, as you go, when you hit up, you'll see that the red will be higher than the one on the left.
Gotcha.
Or if you want to go up now, city, what's that?
That's city 5.
City 5?
Because there's 10. Holy shit.
Difference already?
Yeah.
So just like that, it can change.
You can definitely see there's...
So yeah, now you can see the difference there between your actual and adjusted.
Well, yeah, you can feel right away, like, it actually has a reaction from start, where before it was like a little bit of a dead feel. like when you first got on the pedal. It was like kind of dead. I know that was a big complaint with Tundra owners, where it's like there was a dead pedal sometimes right when you got on it. I mean, it feels the same, just a little bit peppier, which is nice, and it's not like it's not sensitive. Like it's not like
too aggressive.
Yeah. It feels normal, and I definitely felt it on the start.
Here, let's just turn it up all the way here at the stop sign.
Oh God. All right, so sport, track, 10. Okay. Yeah, that's like barely touching it. As you can see, it's almost triple.
Yeah, she's got some get up and go with the 35s on here. And just a disclaimer, this is not adding any horsepower to your truck.
It's just giving it to you better.
It's just, giving your horsepower, you the horsepower quicker through, I mean, your throttle pedal. You're probably having a hard time filming back there. So your throttle pedal is actually like,
look at that, 19.
It's delayed. So if you were to give your truck full throttle, your actual throttle body is not doing the same exact thing as what you're telling the throttle pedal to do. This is more or less making it 1-to-1. So whatever your foot is doing, your throttle body is actually doing that. And that's why you have a better throttle response.
I feel like obviously you're not going to drive around in track all the time. I feel like city would be your best use case scenario, because it's still giving you the same feel as stock, but it's the first little 10% of your throttle is actually alive,
right,
where you need it the most.
You're pulling out and it just goes right away instead of like...
Because there's literally been times where it's like I'm leaving my house and I turn onto like the main road, and it's like I'll press the pedal in and it literally is like dead, and it has to like catch up, where like this, it's like it's already there. There's like no dead pedal, where it's like it's kind of sketchy for stock, where it's like it could have like a delayed reaction for the throttle to actually go.
Right.
This, it definitely removes the dead pedal and it makes it feel like a normal truck, just with a little bit better throttle response, which is definitely needed.
I know we put one of these on our 4Runner and it made a huge difference, because I don't know how this was compared to the 4Runner stock, but the 4Runner, when you would first get on the gas, it was a slug, and it would take so much for it to actually get up to speed. And then we installed a pedal monster on the 4Runner, and it was night and day difference. So this is probably a little bit better out of the gate compared to the 4Runner.
It's a more refined engine.
I mean, there's a little bit more power with this as compared to the 4Runner engine, but...
I mean, literally just like initial reaction, what was the downfall stock was the pedal response from like 0 miles per hour, like the dead pedal. That was like the biggest gripe that I had with it, because it was sketchy at times. I mean, everything else was kind of fine, but definitely putting it in track 10, it was a lot faster. Really, really touchy, but you can get used to that. I think city, and then you find which city you like the best, is going to be your best kind of answer for everything.
All right, guys, that's gonna wrap up this install on the Banks iDash and the Banks Pedal Monster. If you guys have any questions about this, just ask us down below in the comments. And like I said earlier, we're gonna do another video going a little bit more in depth with the iDash, because there's so many different things that you can do with this. If you guys wanna pick up either one of these for your Tundra or your 4Runner or your Tacoma, you can head over to yodaexpedition.com. Click the link down in the description. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.